Hello,
Hey everybody, I'm Laura.
I'm Ravina. Welcome to the Echoes and Embers podcast, where we host our soulful banter about the themes of life. Each week, we honor an element and a perspective that it brings. We speak about its impacts and influences. And this episode, we are rooted in the element of earth. We are speaking about the topic body. But before we get into our subject, let us set our space for success.
Mm-hmm. We clear the noise. We keep the warmth.
We're here. You're here. And this space
What's
is
true can
ours.
stay. Oh, sorry.
The rest can go. Spice. The rest can
And
go.
and then we can
Let's
begin. Let's begin.
Yeah, let's begin.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, topic this week is body, the element of earth, which we're all big fans of earth. Very supportive element, in my opinion. Very supportive in many different layers and levels of life, and Ruby and I have really been reflecting this past week prior to recording this episode of moments in time that have really brought us back home to our bodies. And, it's always kind of a little bit of a journey in that sense of trying to hone in and get back to yourself and checking in with yourself. And it's always a journey in that sense. But one of the biggest things that really stood out for me while reflecting back in 2015, I joined a yoga program, and I was very inexperienced in yoga. Didn't really, at the time, not flexible, not bending, not moving, not doing anything that was of that nature for myself. And I remember being in this class the first day and really feeling very intimidated by everyone because I just felt stiff and like I wasn't flexing as much as everyone else. And I was just very overanalyzing myself and judging myself compared to everyone else in the room who just seemed like they had it easy and they were moving easy and they were able to, you know, get in with themselves and tune in with themselves. And I just remember my teacher always, practicing vocally that, be gentle with yourself, take time with yourself, don't rush yourself, hold off on the judgments of yourself, and just be patient. And, over the course of that program, I slowly learned how to not push myself, not judge myself, and to hone the power of my breath in my body and bring that breath inside of myself and utilize that as my tool to slow down, to have intention with my movements. I started to bend more and be more flexible, and I was able to really start to get in tune with my body again. I felt like that was a really great program that invited me back to my body and learn the rhythm of my body and to just slow down. And my teacher was wonderful. He was always very patient and kind and just taught, just the patience and gentleness with yourself. And I feel like I really took away a huge life lesson in that, where I was able to just check into myself easier and utilize my breath with that intention. And it's a really cool thing that really helped waken up that aspect of my life and invited me back into myself. And I still use those techniques now. The program was to train to be a yoga teacher, and I don't do yoga. I don't teach yoga. I'm not much of I'm kind of shy when it comes to teaching a whole classroom of people. But I still really benefited from the program and just learning how to check in with myself and honestly learn patience with myself. So it was a really cool experience to kind of carry out through life, and I've really valued that time that I got to use, or I got to learn all of that and that technique. So it was a really cool thing to experience. So
Yeah, that's great. I'm really embodying that moment or that phrase of like being patient with your process and your body.
Which can be
I feel like
difficult.
it can be very difficult, especially as women.
Yes.
I feel like with all of these changes that we go through in our hormonal cycle in 28 days, it impacts you. And then you have the other things on top of life. Kind of just like you're constantly being asked to stay in your own rhythm. So, especially with all these other expectations, and there's, things that you have to unlearn and you have to be patient with. And even if you're working hard to be better for yourself, right? Like, I got dental work done recently and yesterday, and I have to go back and get it done again today. It's a hard process. Like, it's uncomfortable when you're in the chair. It's uncomfortable when you're home. It's uncomfortable when you're realizing, like, okay, if I eat this food, I have to like really focus on flushing this out, and taking care of these tiny little details, but building these habits so that you can be better in the future. I mean, that stacked on top of all the other things in your life can just feel like a lot. So being patient with your process is definitely a mantra to keep
Well, there's always so many layers and levels to literally everything you do, and like kind of learning that rhythm of how to stack, like you're saying, and build that like structure to carry yourself on is, I mean, you're doing. Hey, I'm proud of you for recording today after having your dental procedure yesterday. You're talking
Thanks,
well,
man.
you're looking good, like.
Thanks, man. I'm trying. I'm like, I gotta show
you're
up.
doing
I
a
gotta
great
do
job.
This. Another thing is like really realizing that your body is like your healer, and we had talked about this the other day that your body is your vessel for just your existence here, right? It's not just like, oh, you are your body. Like, I really do believe
you're not a
on
machine.
personal note. Yeah, you're not a machine, and you are housing your spirit. Your body is a temple. So taking care of this vessel that you have, and also listening to what it's telling you. When your face breaks out, it's not just your body's against you. That was something that I heard from something else I was listening to. It's like, your body's not against you. Your body is your healer. It's your home. It's like your original root. So take care of it, and listen to it when it's speaking, and be patient, and don't get angry with yourself. Just make your adjustments. So yeah, I'm speaking more to, I know your experience was kind of like I had mentioned before, or we had talked about before, that this yoga journey for you was kind of like your origin story for tapping back into your body. And when we met, it was about that same time for me, where I was getting more involved in yoga, and I had taken some yoga classes and met some yogis in like the community before our like friendship really took off. But that is really when I felt and understood the power of breath, and bringing it back, bringing yourself back into your body with the power of breath and pause, and owning that like mind body connection with breath. So
well, it's really powerful when you're pulling in your breath, and you're stuck in a position, and then you're bringing your breath in and focusing it to be able to flex it into, and it expands through your body, like, and it helps expand yourself and your consciousness and your energy and just your flexibility,
your whole energy
really
field.
yeah, really. And when you're intentionally pulling that in and out and being aware of like what you're doing with a pure intention, like, it's really powerful for yourself in your mobility. And just, I mean,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, coming from a session that day, I just remember feeling really powerful within myself, and just like really good and relaxed, and just, high almost. And I wasn't smoking at the time, so it was a cool thing to step away from the mat and feel high on your own self and just balanced.
Yeah. And just as much as your breath can take you to that expansive state, like you're saying, like we did talk about that recently, where we're breathing and it makes you feel like high, right? Like, the frequency that you're able to achieve with, tapping into your breath, it can make you feel expansive, but it can also bring you back and calm you down. So when I was in the chair yesterday at the dentist's office, and they were putting that fat needle in my mouth, I'm not afraid of needles. I'm not, but I'm also, what I was thinking and the anxieties that I was having were, if they hit a nerve and then it fucks me up, excuse me, for like afterwards when the anesthesia's gone. That's what I get nervous about, is people's, like, because we're all human, it's not like, what if they did something wrong? Like, what if they slipped? So I'm focused on staying still, helping the dentist and the dental hygienist as much as, I can, by being in my body and relaxing, but keeping my head still and like, firm, so that they've got like clearance. They're good. They can focus. They're not having to ask me to do too much. I'm trying to pay attention to the nuances of their fingers in my mouth. And like, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But what I noticed also is, even though that anesthesia kind of wafted over like a sense of relaxation, I was so tense, and I had multiple times, like in that hour that I was in that chair, because I was there for 2 hours, but in the first chair,
Wow.
I was very, very tense. So I had to like constantly like and like relax, and in like 30 seconds my body would tense and I wouldn't realize I was doing it. So I had to constantly focus on my breathing. And you know, it's just interesting how, like, even though you know that you're safe in a circumstance that you put yourself in, and you don't even go into it really with too many fears other than like what the outcome could be, um, we are constantly in many people are in a constant hyper vigilant state in their waking life, where they're holding this tension in their body as they go to work, because maybe their work stresses them out, or coming home because their relationship right now is not where they want it to be, or going to a friend's house because maybe they didn't resolve that little tiff that they had, and they're wanting to, everything will be okay, but you still hold that tension.
Yeah.
So breathing is like I said in, was it Air? I don't remember which episode that was, but it's the breath, pause, and just remembering that your body's your home, it's not your enemy, is something that I've really kept top of mind for a long time, and I feel grateful that I have that kind of connection with my body.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
thinking of my body as like my temple and my sanctuary, and just trying to do my best to take care of it. And that goes along with everything within my body, my brain, my gut, my mind.
Yeah, like we were talking about last episode, really nourishing
Yeah,
that
nourishing
connection.
that. And I lost my
Like,
train
you
of
were
thought.
helping me. Well, one thing that just popped in my mind was you're helping me kind of build this supplement list or things to focus on,
Just a
and
health
something
guide.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, a health guide, right? So we were touching on omegas, and something that I was focused on this week was magnesium, after doing some like very focused um, just like meditation sessions, and making sure that I had plenty of magnesium to calm my nervous system down.
Yeah,
Um,
magnesium's great for that.
yeah. And so, just like, I've always found it fascinating. When I was a kid, I used to read these anatomy books a lot, and just like learning about the body. That's always been something that has fascinated me. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a doctor. Very young, like young. I had a lot of ambitions. I wanted to be a model, basketball player in the WNBA, and a heart surgeon. Those were like
Wow.
my three careers that I wanted to execute when I was like 6. And my parents were like, "Oh yeah, you could do it all," and I'm like, "Woohoo! I can do it." As I got older, I'm like, I got squeamish. I did not flinch from watching shows with like heart surgery, because I don't know why, but I had seen it. I was watching Operations, and it
Not
didn't
for
bother
me.
me as I got. Yeah, no. As I got older, I was like, "There's no way." When I realized the reality of having somebody die on your table, I was like, "No, I'm good." And then I thought, oh, well, what if I was an OBGYN and brought life into the world? And then I was like, I don't want a mother dying on my table. So I'm good. But all through those like different things, I've always been fascinated with the body and how, like, to understand it, how to make it better. And then when me and you really took off in our friendship, and like we focused so much on
Wellness.
nourishment and
Yeah.
vegan food and wellness, like that really just like ting, and it created this ambition, I guess, to go deeper into how everything's connected and how to like feed my mind and feed my body. And this is still how I pay attention to how I'm fueling myself throughout the day.
Yeah, I think
I
in the
feel guilty when
beginning of our
Go
friendship,
ahead.
we really worked on like nourishment of the soul in the beginning stages of our friendship, and like lighting our soul, like almost like a phoenix status, like trying to, come through and like really discover like ourselves individually and then as a friendship. And we did a lot of soul rejuvenating things through food, juicing. We did a lot of juicing and a lot of, I don't even know if we really focused on smoothies, but juices were our thing. And
no, juicing all the way.
We just stuck with like a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables. And I feel like that couple of months that we did that really hard, just like really kind of blossomed our spirits in a sense, where we kind of have been able to kind of pinpoint and go back to that time when we're feeling kind of low in ourselves, and think back to those couple of months where we were just constantly in the kitchen together, and like we pull pieces from that experience and we're like bringing it forward to like today. And
yeah,
there's so many times where I'm in my kitchen nowadays and I'm like, oh, Ruby and I did it this way, and I'll pluck that and pull it to now, and I just kind of get a little, sensation of that past that's coming forward. And there's a lot of, stability in the beginning stages of the friendship there.
Yeah, really, it was really fantastic, and I miss those times. And
well, I feel like doing this podcast has really re-sparked some of that, and we're right now like at a place where you and I are focusing more on embodiment and everything that we've learned in that 8-year span of our friendship.
Yeah.
We're both in our own homes now. We're really grounded where we're at, and we're right now embodying all these things that we've really learned along this journey, and trying to, hone in on exactly what it is. Because Ruby's been a wandering gypsy for the last like 8 years.
Yeah.
You could say almost the same for me. A lot of things on each of our individual paths. And now we're finally at a place where we're grounded in one spot. We've been somewhere, the same space, for at least 6+ months. And we're really honing in on what makes Lara, what makes Rubina, and how are we going to set ourselves up for the next stages in our life. Like, I feel like we've both just like kind of completely turned a chapter in life, and we're, really been able to reconnect, having this, our spots. And, we've been on the phone a lot more and been able to catch each other at the right time throughout the week and share where we're at with, this. She and I have been on a kind of a, how do we incorporate more protein and just vitality into our eating habits right now, because we're both learning how important just like protein is for sustaining fuel and function of your body and regeneration of the cells and the mind. And there's so many aspects to literally everything in life. And it's been good to have someone to like reflect and bounce things off of with.
Yeah.
And even bizarre thoughts like, yo, do you think this tomato will make me fly? Kind of stupid crap.
Yeah.
That's a silly example, but just, we're able to go speak on an extreme, but then not hold judgment for each other, and, be able to ground one another back into it. And, this body episode's really on topic with where we're both at in life and how we're just really honing in on what's, helping fuel our day to day and ourselves. And it's given us a good place to both be able to like relinquish like tragedies that we've gone through, traumas, and, become aware of like stored emotions. The body it stores everything that we go through. It, 2 years ago, you might have fallen and tripped down the stairs and busted your knee a little bit, and your knee is still holding that pain until you intentionally like go in and try to just release that. And that's where bringing back the power of the thought and, the stillness of your body and utilizing your thought through your body to just cleanse your emotional well-being, essentially. And that brings
your emotional body. That's actually a term. Like, your emotional body. Like, that's a thing. And it's stored in your muscles.
Yeah. And in your cells, I'm going through a lot of cleansing and trying to, get a lot of crap out. And it sounds daunting, but it's not, when you're taking everything like one step at a time, and then reincorporating things that you already know. Like, we all already know that bending and breathing is good for us. And it's it's like learning that intentional placement of those things to hone in on for yourself. And it's
not to not make it a bigger thing than what it is, because I think that's what's held me back as much as
definitely
I have held myself back this last 8-10 years, right? Is okay, I have to focus on breathing. And then I get too serious.
Dude, and that's the cool thing about our friendship, is I feel like we can laugh about it, and that brings that like childlike energy into it, and not taking that shit so seriously. Like, oh, yo, dude, I ate a cheeseburger yesterday with an extra large fry. Okay, well, let's do better today. Fuck, you know?
Yeah. We're just like, all right, cool. Like, one of the books, we're gonna turn the page. It's cool.
So
Yeah.
being gentle with yourself and your body and like where you're at, like we talked about that on transformation, our fire and transformation episode, like being gentle with yourself. Like I am not physically where I want to be at when it comes to my weight. Like that's something I've always been insecure about, but I am taking every day a step towards making that better for myself. And I am learning to not pressure myself. Like I'm doing it in a very healthy, sustainable, long-term way. And I'm not dropping 10 to 15 pounds a week, which is unrealistic. And build yourself with healthy, happy habits. Healthy, happy habits. That's a fun mouthful to say. But, you know, take your time with yourself and like, you know, ask yourself, where do you want to be at? What do you want to do? Like, where is it you emotionally want to be at, physically want to be at, mentally want to be at? Because all those things correlate within itself. And when you start to take care of your body and nourish your gut, it automatically ripples into your mouth, into your brain, into your feet. Like it all synergizes together when you start taking small steps towards your fuel.
Yeah.
In yourself.
And you know, I feel like there's so much out there right now
everywhere
in this moment that tells you about like being hard, you know,
yeah,
like, discipline. You have to like get up, you gotta do this, you gotta da da da. If you can't do this, then you're not necessarily behind, but they'll say like do better, like da da da.
Which there is to an extent. That's do better is always in a moderate way.
In a moderate way, and you know, there's some people that really are able to adapt to that, and then they can do it and they can go. But and I can be an extremist kind of person, and I've tried that before in the past with, you know, whether it's going to the gym or just keeping a simple morning routine and trying to be very rigorous. And I can't like keep it up for very long. I think the longest I've been able to do that is like 3 months, and it was really dampening to me. So
you get burnt out really quickly like that for some people.
And I'm like I'm a hardcore person, so like I get burnt out on just my regular shit, and I think it's important that we're saying on this episode that being gentle with yourself is a superpower, because when you are more gentle with yourself and allowing these things to come up naturally as you like take the pressure off, trust me, there is stuff that's going to come up for you to deal with. Like you taking your one of your days off to actually like sit on your couch and drink your tea and like do your breathing exercises and I don't know, like get on the floor and do some stretches. There's going to be some emotions that come up. And you have to be present and vigilant to address those without being harsh or being like, what is this? Questioning yourself, being hard on yourself. And, you know, even allowing those emotions to flood you and take over the rest of your day. Like it's a power and a muscle that you have to exercise with being able to witness your emotions that come up from your emotional body and allowing them the space to exist without it completely taking you. And I think we spoke about this in the last episode about the space in your body to allow your intuition to speak, and you have to be able to practice that with the emotions that come up as well, because like we were saying earlier, is there's all these different bodies within you that need to be able to be working together. Like how I picture the body as the temple is, okay, you have like your thought, like your mind, your thoughts speak, you have your intuition that speaks, you have the emotions that are stored, you have the purpose of self that wants to come through, that's separate from all of these other things because they're impacted by your actual like human experience. And within your body, being able to give them that space, which is why I really think that breath is so important, because you're literally opening space and pausing. When you're focusing on an inhale, you pause everything else. And then as you exhale and you like exercise that control of your like insides, then you can discern and allow everything to filter itself so that what's important and priority can speak, or what's true can speak, you know? So that
Mm-hmm.
in itself is difficult when you're, going through your day to day. And then, like I said earlier in the episode, like, okay, you're a woman and you have these hormonal shifts every week, and then you've got dental work, and you're trying to work on making sure that your relationships with your family are straight, and you've got all this other emotions you got to process. Like, it's a lot, so you have to be gentle, and that's not something you can just power through. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make that point.
Yeah, totally. Um,
Yeah.
something else I kind of want to share a little bit is the technique of like literally grounding, um, kind of going outside, getting barefoot, sticking your feet and your toes in
Yes.
the dirt, or even going as far as to hugging a tree. Uh, Tree huggers are onto something. Just want to make that known.
There's a science.
You know, there's a science behind it. There is, you know, the earth has a frequency of her own, and the magnetic field that the earth and the trees and the ground and the dirt and soil put out is very grounding and synergy like. And when it comes into contact with your energy field, there is just an overwhelming like synergy that you gain from placing your bare feet on the ground, hugging a tree, touching a plant, things of that nature. You know, I had a hiking trip a couple months ago with the kids and my husband, and it led to some rock climbing, and I am not a rock climber. And so I ended up seeing a patch of dirt off to the side, and it was right out of the season of winter. So I was ready to like get out there and just, you know, not be cold while I was touching the dirt basically. And I told them, "Hey, I'm sitting my happy ass down over here. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine." And at that time in my life, I was going through grief of a loved one. I was going through all these emotional like uncertainties basically, and I just knew I needed to get myself to some dirt, raw soil, and just like sit and like, you know, whatever. So I ended up sitting, and they left me there for a good 40-45 minutes, which was really enough time because the wind's blowing, the trees are starting to kind of bloom again, you hear some birds flowing. And I'm, you know, got my fingers deep in the soil. I took my shoes off. I had shorts on at the time, and like I'm in that dirt. And I remember getting up after they had finally come back to get me to head back down the mountain. I remember just feeling so synergized with myself, and like my mind wasn't overreacting. My body felt more solid, and I felt very much aligned with myself again. And I didn't realize how that was a really stable moment of realizing how powerful that actually is for oneself, you know, like it it really brought a synergy that since that moment then I've been going out a lot more and getting the dirt on myself. You know, water is nature as well, but it's different. It's more of a cleansing, refresh, kind of flow and push. You know, you think about the element and the motion it makes, and that's kind of what it does for you in a sense. Like water's pushing, earth is still. And grounding.
Yeah.
And grounding in a sense is like you're not necessarily not moving, but you're just kind of solid and you're one almost. And so I've been utilizing the dirt and plants and the grass and trees a lot more and honing in a grounding for myself. And we've been doing a lot more swimming now that, you know, the lakes or the summer is here. So the lake's right down the street for us. So there's been a really good balance of like sitting on the shore in the dirt and the rocks, and then going and hopping into the water. And like I've been kind of intentionally like playing with it, you know, and like hone, ground, dip, swim, you know, refresh and release. So there's been
Yeah.
the elements are wild. They're wild in the ways that they help us. And if you tap in and tune in with those, there is some really amazing like synergy that you can create for yourself. It's just as much as our, you know, physical home where we live and it creates life for us, like it also provides for us in deeper nurturing ways. You know, a lot of people might struggle to buy the most organic, high quality things. But, this kind of circles back onto working with what you got. And, we all have an outside, we all have air, we all have a tree somewhere nearby, water nearby, and utilizing those elements to bring them into your life to help harness, your synergy and bring in your synergy. And, the world, the earth is amazing. There's just so many beautiful things. And if you can really find yourself some time to go out and sit still in nature, like, it's a teacher, and it will teach you these things, and it will show you these things. And if you can get some time outside to utilize your breath and stillness, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful thing to be able to coordinate with each other and bring yourself to.
And if you don't find yourself making your way to a park or a trail or the beach or whatever it is, just go outside of your house and take one shoe off and stick it in the grass or the dirt or the rocks. Like, it's,
or even with a sock on, if it's more comfortable for you, like, just something to start.
Yes. Yeah, because you had mentioned before that
my husband refuses to have bare feet on the ground. He's afraid of worms.
Oh.
And I'm like, bro, like, get over it, bro.
Well, I mean,
you don't know what you're
real,
missing.
I guess, you don't know what you're missing.
I mean,
but you had mentioned before
I trust
about
the process. The
rubber in shoes kind of disrupting that electromagnetic circuit.
Yeah, it does. It does. It neutralizes it so that your energy, so concrete and silicone, plastic, things like of that nature, neutralizes it and stops the frequency from pulsating through. So it just stops that shit. And that is the biggest benefit of taking off your shoes and going outside and stepping barefoot, or socks if you have to. Try not to make them plastic socks. But barefoot onto the ground, like, you're literally directly contacting yourself with the earth and the earth's energy field, your energy field, and it seriously creates a synergy.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, in a big way,
it's a beautiful thing.
We're all kind of craving. Like, we're all craving that connection.
100%.
I know that being like on, people, this has always been a conversation, right? Social media, it's distracting us, whatever. We are trying to find a sense of connection that we have forgotten. And I think that this is an important kind of remembrance, because this isn't a new thing. This is where we were, what we were much closer to. Even kids from different generations, like our grandparents, they were outside playing way more than, generations now. I think why we also connected so hard when we were became friends, because we were always outside. Honestly, like, if we weren't in the kitchen making something, we really were, like, sitting down. Yeah, or we were on we were camping,
without even blankets sometimes.
Yeah, we would just, like, we were out there, and we were always, it was hot. We were out in Arizona, so we were in shorts, and we were always, like, touching the elements and exposed. And
dude, how many times we would just roll down to the park and stretch and sit in the grass with Clover and Doe and just, like, roll around in the grass for hours just to get out of the house,
Yeah. And it felt so right. It didn't feel right to just be up in the house. Like, which is so cool, because 100%. That really speaks to how our friendship is with, the childlike joy that you were talking about earlier. Is like, that's a very natural thing for us. And I think that anything that invokes that kind of wonder and excitement is something to really cherish. So if y'all got friends out there that really make you giggle and you can be silly with, explore that more, because you're onto something. Not everything is so serious, even though you feel serious about your feels and your things in life. It's it's just important to stay connected.
Hey everybody, we've been having some technical issues this week given our why it's taken us so long to post this new episode, but the episode we just recorded kind of kicked me out, so Ruby and I are just going to go ahead and close with what we wanted to do for the Earth embodiment episode. So she and I just kind of invite you with us, just a little gentle meditation to close out this episode. I invite you to place your left hand over your heart and your right hand over your stomach. You're welcome to close your eyes and just take in some nice, slow, deep breaths. Let's intentionally anchor into our bodies. Feel the breath rise and release. Let the earth hold you. Let your body soften. Nice inhale in. Exhale out. Whisper gently to yourself or in your heart, I am rooted. I am held. I am home in my body. And stay here for a few moments. Thank your body. Thank the earth. And when you're ready, just begin to wiggle your fingertips, wiggle your toes, move your shoulders a little bit, and gently move your neck or shoulders. And I invite you to carry this grounded energy with you into the rest of your day. You are here, and that is enough. And just remember, your body is not a machine to be fixed. It's a garden to be tended to. So, everybody have a wonderful day. Thanks for bearing with us through our technical issues today. We invite you to tune in next week.
Yeah.
We invite you to
tune in next
week. Go ahead.
I'm going to speak about ether, the fifth element, and really speak on how spirit flows through everything that we do and through all the elements. So, yeah, join us next week.
We're excited about that episode. We will get our technical issues underway before then, but thanks for staying tuned with us, everybody, and we'll see you again next time.
See you guys. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.